Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to my literary club. Today I'm going to explain The Clod and the Pebble by William Blake from Songs of Experience. William Blake, from 1757 to 1827, was an enigmatic English poet, painter, and printmaker, revered for his visionary and often mystical works that blurred the lines between art and literature. A key figure from antique age, Blake's poetry, including famous collections like Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience, delves into the themes of spirituality, social justice, and human condition. His unique use of symbolism, vivid imagery, and unconventional ideas continues to resonate, cementing his legacy as a profound influence on both literature and the arts. This poem, The Clod and the Pebble, was published in 1794, the collection of Songs of Experience by William Blake. He also published Songs of Innocence 5 years ago in 1789. I've explained number of poems from both Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience in my channel. You can check that also the difference between Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience on my YouTube channel. I'll provide the link in the bio also. This poem, The Clod and the Pebble, presents two contrasting ideas on the love through the voice of the soft clod of clay and the hard pebble. So we'll see the duality of love in this very poem. Also, there's a contrast between innocence and experience. Innocence of the clod, the selflessness of the clod, and the selfish perspective of the pebble or the experience, or we can say clod versus pebble, or we can also say optimism versus the pessimism. So we'll see all this in this very poem. Let's start with stanza number one. Love seeketh not itself to please, nor for itself hath any care. Now, in this very first stanza, poet uses a literary device of personification. Personification is a figure of speech in which human qualities are given to non-human things, objects, animals, ideas, or nature. Here, William Blake gave the human quality of speaking to a clod. So that's an example of personification. So what's the clod is saying? Clod is saying that love seeks not itself to please. Now he's giving us his perspective upon the love. That what is the definition of love or what is love? So he's saying that love is selfless. Okay, true love does not seek personal pleasure nor for itself hath any care. So Blake wants to say that the true love, if there is true love, that it then it exists for the happiness of its beloved. Okay, it's the true love is self-sacrificing, and the true love never worry about his own needs. Okay, itself had nor for itself hath any care. Okay, he doesn't care for himself, but only for the his beloved. Okay, but for another gives it ease and builds a heaven in hell's despair. Now he's saying, the Claude is saying that the true love will always be willing to suffer and sacrifice his comfort and his desires for the happiness of the other, or for the happiness of his beloved, for the ease of his beloved. Love is so powerful that it can turn the suffering into the joy. Okay, and builds a heaven in the hell's despair. So when a person is in love, so everything is like a heaven for him. Maybe it could be somehow the hellish situation, but love always turns sufferings into joy, and love have ability to bring the light and hope even in the utmost despair. Now this heaven and hell is the example of metaphor. Metaphor is a literary device that there is a direct comparison between two unrelated things, stating that one is another to create a deep meaning. Here, in the last line, Blake uses the words heaven and hell for to show the sufferings and the joy. So he states joy as heaven and sufferings as hell. So that's an example of metaphor because he's comparing both things. So that's an example of metaphor. So sung a little clod of clay, a clod that was narrating the first stanza. I'll show you what is a clod. This is an example of clod, muddy rock. We can say a very soft rock. We can shatter this muddy rock, this clod with our hands. So that's a clod, and the pebble. I have put the picture of pebble on the title page. You can see that's the example of pebble, and pebbles are the rocks, solid rocks, and clods are very soft. So what happens to the Claude after speaking his perspective upon love? To sing a little clod of clay trodden with the cattle's feet. Now, it is revealed that the first stanza was by Claude, and now it was stepped on by some cattle's feet. Okay, so the ideas of innocence, the ideas of selfless love endures the hardships like this. It's crashed under the feet of the other people, these ideas, but a pebble of the brook warbled out these meters meet. Now, another perspective is going to be described in the stanza number 3, and that perspective is of the pebble, which is sitting beside, which is lying beside the brook, a stream of water, warble. Now this warble is another example of personification, because Blake is saying that pebble is also going to sink the meters. So that's an example of personification. Now his Blake is introducing the pebble, which is hard and which is unyielding, and which is shaped by the brook, and it's way more rigid than the clod. So there is a contrast between the clod and the pebble, the hard pebble and the gentle clod in this stanza. Now we'll see the Pebble's point of view upon love, it's Pebble's perspective, and we'll see the contrast between the Pebble's perspective and the Cloud's perspective. Love seeks only self to please, to bind another to its delight. Now this idea is completely opposite and self-centered as compared to the Claude's idea. According to Pebble, love only to satisfy the personal desires instead of the freedom, instead of thinking upon of the happiness of the others. The love, according to Pebble, bind and control and dominate and restrict the other person. So Pebble's love is kind of possessive and demanding, we can say. Joy in another's loss of ease and build a hell in heavens despite. Now, according to Pebble, love is about power and the control. Okay, the control, the ease of the other people according to your own happiness. Once joy comes at the expense of others' suffering. Okay, because the cloth was saying that for other gives its ease, love is to give ease to other people, to its beloved, and the pebble is saying that love is to snatch the ease of other people for your own happiness, for your own joy, and builds a hell in heaven despite. So he's saying that love turns joy into suffering. So selfish love corrupts even the most beautiful experience of the love. So with this point our poem ends. Now there are two contrasting ideas, and you have to explain that which idea is more preferable to the readers. There are some of the themes of the poem. Dual nature of love. We have discussed the two natures of love by the clod and by the pebble. Innocence versus experience. I've discussed it in the introduction of the poem also. That now you will better understand what innocence and what experience I was talking about. What optimism versus the pessimism, or the clod versus the pebble, we can say. Because Blake was writing songs of innocence and songs of experience both at that time, because not simultaneously at that time, but he was uh, writing some kind of reply to his own songs of innocence, which he wrote 5 years ago. So the perspective, his own perspective, Blake's perspective in songs of innocence was the perspective of the Claude, and with time being, his own perspectives changes, and he become his his perspective becomes similar to the perspective of the pebble. So innocence versus experience. Also the consequences of selfless love. We have seen what happens to the people who do some kind of selfless love. We have seen that what happens to the people who believe on the selfless love, or to provide ease or happiness or joy to other people before their own selves. They are crushed by the under the feet of the other people, because they have to endure hardships in their selfless love. These are the few themes. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you have any question regarding the explanation, you can ask in the comments below. Also, you can give your suggestion about next poem to explain in the comments. Please like and share the video, subscribe my channel, and press the bell icon to get the notification of the next video.